What is going on, YouTube? It is Angelo coming at you from Fear the Beard Football Channel. Sitting here with my buddy Schmitch, man. I don't know if you guys can see him in the camera, but he's chilling here with me. So he's going to be making this video. Got my co-host right here. So today we're going to be talking about Cam Newton signing with the New England Patriots. We all know, if you guys kind of go back and watch my videos, the first video I posted was a Teddy Bridgewater versus Cam Newton debate. That was around the time where we had released Cam, signed Teddy Bridgewater, and decided to make him our starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. Cameron Newton was drafted number 1 overall in 2011 by the Carolina Panthers after winning the national championship and Heisman Trophy with Auburn the previous year. He's had a very, I guess I would say, decorative career. The man won Rookie of the Year, set multiple records his rookie year. The rushing touchdown record by a rookie, the all-time rushing touchdown record, put up 14 touchdowns. At the time, he held the record for most passing yards by a rookie. That was broken the following year by Andrew Luck, and we've since seen that record broken multiple times, just because we're turning into a passing league. So, but Cam Newton has went on and, been an MVP, made it to a Super Bowl. And I mean, he holds so many records. He's ran for, I want to say 4,500 yards. I don't have all of his stats on the top of my head, but he's thrown for a total of 28,000 yards in his career, ran for over 4,000, has 48 rushing touchdowns, and I believe 182 passing touchdowns throughout his career. So for the first 8 years of his career, that's very good. That puts him on par to finish out his career probably with over 300 passing touchdowns if he continues and plays later into his career. That's yet to be determined just because of the type of quarterback that he is, and I'm going to get to that a little later. So, but let's backtrack a few months. Cam Newton was cut by the Panthers, like I just said earlier, and we decided to move forward with Teddy Bridgewater as our starter, and that was a move that I was very much okay with. We know that, I've said everything that can be said about Cam Newton, and, maybe it's not my place to be critical of him, but I'm just giving my honest opinion. Now, this is just from watching him. I've seen all the highlight plays. I see the flashy runs, the touchdowns, the truck sticks, as you would say. I've seen it all with Cam Newton. I've seen the highs and the lows. Now, my personal take on him, Cam Newton coming into the NFL, I was very hyped as a Panthers fan. I felt like we were about to hit our stride and, really have go on a massive run. And, we did enjoy the best years, speaking truthfully. And that's all I do. That's all I do when it comes to football. I speak my opinion, and I try to speak the truth to the best of my ability. Now, not everything I say is factual, because especially this one, this is strictly an opinion base. So this is how I think about Cam Newton. And if you think differently, that's fine. I am not going to sit there and try to belittle your opinion and say that you're wrong, because realistically, that's just your take, and I respect that. So this is my take. I was very, very excited for Cam Newton, and especially after his rookie year, we had went 2-14 the year before, turned into a 6-10 record with him as a starter. We saw all the records he set, all the flashy plays, and to be honest, I thought the future was great, and we did have some great moments with him under center. His third year, we made our first playoff appearance. We had started out 1-2, or maybe it was 2-3. I think it might have been 2-3. We started out 2-3, ended up winning 9 games in a row, and finished out the season 12-4 after that 2-3 start. And went on ahead. We ended up ultimately losing to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round after we got a first-round bye. That was the year of Colin Kaepernick and his great run to the Super Bowl, where they eventually fell to the Baltimore Ravens. The following year, we did make the playoffs again. And this is where me and Panther fans argue right here, because we had just come off a 12-4 record. The following season, we go 7-8-1. All right, we started out at this. I'm gonna backtrack to that season real quick and kind of just go over why I have an issue with this, because a lot of people argue and say, like, and it's true. We won 3 division titles in a row and made 3 straight playoff appearances, which at the time the NFC South had never had a division champ win have 3 consecutive years with the same division champion. So that we were the first to do that. But this is, to me, this is the outlier season, because we were 3-8-1. We know that Cam Newton had, gotten in the car wreck and everything, and he was forced to not start that game. The following game, I think it was, we played Tampa Bay, and Derek Anderson ended up winning. We then ended up basically winning our final 4 games of the season, and a lot of people want to say Super Cam willed us to the playoffs that year, and that's just not the case, okay, guys? Like, that year, we had had the worst defense, not the worst. We were bottom, I think 25th worst defense. We were, really bad that year. Our defense was awful. And somehow we put together some ragtag bunch of secondary men, and it just worked for us. It clicked. We obviously had Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis. That was also, I believe I want to say that we'd had Greg Hardy that year and Charles Johnson, or maybe that was the year that we lost Greg Hardy due to the domestic violence thing. I can't remember everything, but I know we had Charles Johnson in that year at least. But that's when Bené Benwickery got his start. Josh Norman was thrusted in there for a little while. Trey Boston, he got a start. So, a lot of guys who were key contributors to our Super Bowl run the following season got their start during this final 4-game stretch, and it worked. And we had the second best defense from then on out. The only team that was better than us was Seattle, and they went on to lose the Super Bowl that year to the Patriots. That was the year the Patriots, that was the year that the Patriots had that Malcolm Butler interception. So, but yeah, that's the year I have a problem with. Now, we did win a playoff game. We beat the Arizona Cardinals in the wild card round. We ended up losing out in the division round that season. But that's the one year I have a problem with. I'm like, we were in the worst division that year. Any other season, we would have not made the playoffs, and we just did that year. And I mean, that's the only thing I have. I mean, I don't think, as a fan, as a Panthers fan, I find that very hard to brag that we made the playoffs at 7-8-1. It's almost like when Seattle went to the playoffs in 2009, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants, who were 10, 11-game winners, had to sit home and watch the playoffs just because Seattle went 7-9 and won their division. To me, that's such BS right there. I truly don't think. I think it should be somewhat kind of like how the NBA runs it. The top 6 teams get in, because we would have missed the playoffs that year. We would not have won the playoff. We would not have made it to the playoffs that year. And I feel like to me, that's right. What's up, buddy? Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, to me, that's just that's not right. So, moving forward though, the following year, there's nothing that we could say. We did have a really weak schedule that year. But we won our first 13 games, started out 13-0, finished out the season 15-1. Our only loss in the regular season was to the Atlanta Falcons, which I've always said that game laid the foundation with how to beat Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. We were number 1 in scoring that year. We were, I think, had the 5th best defense. We were at least top 10 for sure. And, I mean, it really looked like we were unstoppable. We didn't even have our number 1 guy with Calvin Benjamin. We were just making it work with guys like Philly Brown and Ted Ginn. We had that was the Fozzie Whitaker and Cameron Artis Payne days. Jonathan Stewart was our lead back that year. And, we had a great defense. We had a great defense that was key to us making it to the Super Bowl. We all know the multiple pick sixes that Luke Kuechly had that year. I mean, he's a tackling machine. The man averages like, I think, 10 tackles a game. One year he missed 6 games and still wound up with 100 tackles on the season. He's just a freak, and I'm so sad that he retired. But, like, I got to give Cam Newton his credits for that season. 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think he threw for 3,800 passing yards and ran for another, I want to say 600 some rushing yards. I think it was like 636 rushing yards. Maybe it was 700. I'm not sure. Put 10 more rushing touchdowns on the board en route to an MVP season. That Atlanta game, they smothered us and just pass rushed, blitz. That's all it was. And Cam couldn't, I mean, it just showed, like, when you decide to, rush him, he's oblivious to it. And he just, gets, I guess, paranoid, which I always, like, refer back to how I judge his career. I always refer back to something Steve Smith said when he left the Carolina Panthers. I read an article, and he had left the Panthers and was talking about how he likes playing with Joe Flacco. And he said that it's nice that no matter what situation it is, we could be up by 3 touchdowns or we could be down by 3 touchdowns. It doesn't matter. It's nice to see a quarterback come into the huddle calm, cool, and collected every time, no matter what. And he said that he hadn't had that in a long time, referring to he hasn't had that since Jake Delhomme. So, and he'll come out and say his favorite quarterback he played with was Jake Delhomme. And to me, Jake Delhomme got a lot of heat. The man had, I think it might have been Tommy John surgery. He had some type of surgery on it. It was either his elbow or his shoulder. I can't remember. So if it was a shoulder, it obviously wasn't Tommy John surgery. But, and he never fully recovered from that. And I mean, with all the praise that Cam Newton gets, like this, Jake Delhomme was a man who got booed in his own home stadium. So I never got why the Panthers fans took up for Cam Newton so much. But this is the same group of people that booed Jake Delhomme out of the stadium. I mean, the man did exactly the same thing for us that Cam Newton did. Took us to the playoffs a few times, took us to a Super Bowl. I mean, throughout, when you look at how many, like, when they both had played together, played the same amount of games, they're almost identical in passing categories. Now, Cam Newton blows him out the water with his legs. So, and I'm not going to sit here and compare Jake Delhomme to Cam Newton because obviously we all know who the better quarterback is. Like, I'd be stupid to sit there and say that Jake Delhomme is a better quarterback than Cam Newton. Because that's just not the case. I mean, passing-wise, they're very similar. They are very similar. Cam Newton just has a better arm than he does, but Jake Delhomme is a lot more accurate than him. Cam Newton just blows him out the water with his legs. So, but that season, we saw us march all the way to the Super Bowl. We destroyed the Arizona Cardinals in the AFC Conference Championship game. The NFC Conference Championship game. And that game, I truly thought that we were going to win the Super Bowl because, I mean, we had, that year we had beat the Seahawks. We beat them in the regular season. And we beat them in the divisional round, which, for people who are non-Panthers fans, I don't think you truly understand that those, like, the Panthers versus Seattle games, to me, were our biggest rival games because they were just like the big brother that we could just never beat. And then finally we got our day. We finally got our day in court, and we ended up, I think we jumped up to a 21 or 24-0 lead. We ended up winning the game like 31-28 because, we just kind of got real conservative in the second half. And it was that Ron Rivera came under a lot of scrutiny for just kind of being conservative and running the ball out the rest of the game and kind of letting Seattle make a little bit of a comeback. The following game, it was not like that. I think we beat the Cardinals like 41-13. I can't remember what the final score was, but we just completely waylaxed them. But we all know what happened in the Super Bowl. The Orange Crush got to us. They, Cam Newton didn't dive on that fumble, which, that goes down as one of the most controversial plays. people say like he should have dove on it. Some people are saying maybe his shoulder was hurt and he didn't want to risk injury. And I mean, I've seen this man bulldoze and truck people and flip into the end zone into a regular season game that didn't matter. I've seen him truck people in preseason games and put his body at risk in situations that truly just don't matter. But he chose in the biggest moment of his career to not dive on the fumble. And it's not my place to sit there and say if it was the right move or the wrong move, because I wasn't in Cam Newton's shoes at that point in time. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what was going through his mind. Then, we go to the Super Bowl press conference after the game's over, and we've seen the backlash of him sulking and him just getting up and leaving. Now, there's been murmurs that Chris Harris Jr. was kind of trash-talking him, and he just kind of wanted to get up and leave and get out of that situation before he made a fool of himself or made an ass of himself. Not saying a fool, but, you guys got to know what I mean. Sometimes when you're upset, you can end up doing the wrong thing. And, maybe him getting up and leaving was the right thing before he did something or said something that was even worse. So, personally, I think, you get paid millions and millions of dollars to play the game. I think that even though, you lost, sportsmanship is you should sit there and, take the questions. That's what you're paid for. But then again, I wasn't in Cam Newton's shoes. I wasn't, I don't know what was going through his mind. And I truly don't know none of us really know the full extent of what made him get up and leave. Obviously, he's never going to really come out and say exactly what it was, just because, first of all, now it's so long ago. But, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. I don't know what was going on in his mind. So, we missed the playoffs the following year, 2017. We put up a very strong campaign, went 11-5. And we lost out in the wild card round to the Saints. But 2018, man, I truly felt like this was our year to get back into the, do the back-to-back playoff deal and kind of just get back in there and show the world, who we really are. And if, we were trucking along, Cam was having the best year of his career, completing 67% of his passes. At that point, we were 6-2 coming in to play the Steelers on Thursday Night Football and just got obliterated. On another controversial play, TJ Watt hit Cam Newton in his shoulder. We all know what happened after that. He wasn't the same the rest of the season. A lot of people thought that was a helmet-to-helmet hit. I'm not going to sit here and comment on that. I saw the helmet-to-helmet contact, but I don't think he did it intentionally. So that's my take on it. But we went 1-7 the rest of the year. The only win that we got was the last game of the year where we decided to shut Cam Newton down and start Kyle Allen. Then 2019 comes around last year. The first two games of the season did not go good. We know the preseason game against the Patriots, Cam Newton hurt his foot, which was the Linz Frank fracture or whatever it's called. And whatever it's called, but it was just a foot injury that just derailed his whole entire season. And he just, he didn't look the same. And I've said this all along, when you take away his ability to run, Cam Newton is average. He is an average quarterback. He's just a guy. And that really proved it to me. I'm sorry, you can sit there and say that, he was hurt, he was this, he was that. Well, I don't necessarily know, because I don't know how much having the Linz Frank would affect a quarterback's ability to throw the ball. I know it would obviously take his ability to run, and that makes Cam Newton not the same guy, but that's my personal take on it. I don't think he's the same guy when he can't run. So maybe a whole entire season will do him some justice and he'll light the league up with the Patriots. But we saw what happened. We saw that, Kyle Allen wasn't the savior. Which I would joke about it, and I'd make my little jokes just because I like to pick at the Panther fans and I like to kind of stir the pot a little bit. But, I knew Kyle Allen wasn't the future for us, and I kind of wish he had stayed and was our backup. But I'm glad to see him move on and go to Washington and see if he can potentially make a career there. Who knows if he'll end up having to take over the helms for Dwayne Haskins. That's neither here nor there. But we didn't get to see how Cam Newton would recover if he could continue on that same trajectory that he was on in 2018. So now we get to see him in 2020 with the New England Patriots. Is he going to do better? I had them going 4-12 before the signing of Cam Newton. I would say that they're probably a 9-7 team. I would say that their floor is 8-8, and I would say that their ceiling is 11-5. I think they can mess around and get into the playoffs, but I don't want to comment on if they can win the Super Bowl or not. I feel like if they win the Super Bowl, I've said this all along, even with Tom Brady, that I feel like Belichick is the main reason why he has 6 rings. And I feel like if there's any coach that can turn Cam Newton into a Super Bowl winning quarterback, it's going to be Bill Belichick. So that's going to conclude my video for today. If Panther fans, Patriot fans just want to say congratulations on the signing, Cam Newton, even though I've been critical of you in this video and just realistically throughout your career before you've even seen, before any of these videos started taking place, that doesn't take away who I think you are as a human being. And I think that, this is a great move for you, and I'm happy that you ended up finding a home. And just being a Panthers fan, I want to say thank you for your time as a Panther. And just, I want to at least kind of have my respects for you. And I doubt you're going to watch this video, but if you do end up seeing it, thank you for, 8 years as our quarterback. And I wish you nothing but the best in New England. If y'all like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Turn the bell notifications on so you can see more from Fear the Beard football channel. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace out.